Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, September 26th, 5:26 a.m. Central Time. Grain market's a little bit higher this morning. December corn futures up a quarter cent at 481 and a half. November soybeans up 5 3/4 at 1303 and a half. December Chicago wheat up 3 3/4 at 592 3/4. December Kansas City wheat up 1.5 at 716. December spring wheat up 4.5 at 773 and a half. We finally got some good demand news yesterday. Let's start off with something good for a change.
So, USDA reported a flash sale of U.S. corn on Monday. U.S. exporters sold 1.66 million metric tons of corn to Mexico. Of the total, 1.05 million metric tons is for delivery during the current marketing year, and 611,389 metric tons is for delivery during the next marketing year. This was the largest flash sale of any commodity that USDA has reported this year.
Yeah, so we've seen some sales to Mexico recently, but they've been smaller. This is a big sale. This is the biggest that we've seen, I believe, since fourth quarter of last year. We had some flash sales to China back in, I believe, March. There was a string of sales that were like 600,000-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. But a lot of that business was ultimately canceled. So this is some good demand news. The one thing to remember about Mexico is that the corn that we ship to Mexico moves via rail. So it is not impaired by the river situation. So what we can't ship down the river. I guess the basis situation, all the river implications, is probably to Mexico's benefit in this situation. As it relates to corn export sales, here's a chart of accumulated sales seasonally. And if you look down in the lower left here, we are as of last Thursday, total commitments of U.S. corn exports are the fourth worst of the last 10 years. As of last Thursday, we were running 760,000 metric tons below last year. So with this sale to Mexico, we could be back to like where we were last year. The problem is that USDA is not projecting what we did last year. They're projecting this big year over year increase. They're talking an increase year over year of almost 9.8 million metric tons. So USDA's total projection for corn exports out of the U.S. this year is about 52 million. And I guess the question that I have in my head is like, can we do 52 million without China? And the answer is yes, because we've done it before. In 16-17, we shipped 58 million metric tons of corn out of the U.S. In 17-18, we did 62 million. In 18-19, we did 52. So it is possible without China because China was absent from the U.S. corn market in those years. So this is the best demand news that I've seen as it relates to corn or really anything else for a while. We've still got river issues. The river still may be at record lows by the end of the week, but this is something to be optimistic about, I suppose.
U.S. corn and soybean harvest is marching on. The corn crop is 15% harvested nationally compared to 9% last week and 13% on average. The corn crop is 70% mature nationally versus 60% on average. The soybean crop is 12% harvested nationally compared to 5% last week and 11% on average. Corn conditions improved by 2% in the good to excellent category, while soybean conditions declined by 2%.
I don't think the trade pays a ton of attention to the crop ratings this late in the season. I mean, as harvest is ongoing, I guess the drop in soybean conditions is interesting. The maturity statistics for both crops are like 10% ahead of normal, which I think is the result to a significant degree of dry weather. If you guys have yield reports as it relates to corn and soybeans, drop them in the YouTube comments. We'd love to hear them. We know that some stuff is starting to come in. So if you have some reports, make sure you drop your location as well. What about winter wheat?
So the crop is 26% planted nationally versus 15% last week and 29% on average. States that have planted more than 50% of the crop include Washington, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Colorado. SRW areas of the Midwest are just getting started. U.S. spring wheat harvest is nearly complete at 96%.
Everything moving along pretty much as normal here. If you guys have spring wheat yield reports, I know most of you guys are probably wrapped up. Drop those in the YouTube comments as well.
So if you guys have not already checked out our premium content, you need to do so. Joe, can you tell me about a couple videos you recently put together?
Steve Johnson was on with me yesterday. I call him the crop insurance doctor. At least that's what I'm calling him this week. We talked about margin protection. The deadline to purchase margin protection is coming up. We did kind of a primer. This is something that's very much localized. It changes a lot depending on your location. Should you buy it? Should you not buy it? We talked about that with Steve yesterday. Very topical item. And then the video I did on Friday with Steve Nicholson was absolutely fantastic. U.S. crush expansion, still the real deal. If you sign up for the premium deal today, I'll send you this video along with the video I did with Steve back in November of last year, which we had all sorts of charts and graphics and projections regarding the need for additional soybean acres, all of that stuff. If you guys want to see the premium stuff every single business day, go to standardgrain.com. You can sign up this morning. This is a $50 per month subscription. Cancel at any time, no other fee, no other obligation. Nobody will try to sell you anything else. Takes like 1 minute to sign up on your phone or computer. You just need a credit card. Check that out this morning, guys.
Congress must come to an agreement on the federal budget this week to avoid a government shutdown on October 1st, which is this coming Sunday. Republicans in the House have been unable to agree on a budget, with some insisting spending be cut. If a shutdown does occur, the USDA will stop releasing reports. The last time we saw USDA reports affected by a government shutdown was back in January of 2019. At that time, we had a record 34-day shutdown that resulted in the USDA not publishing its monthly crop production report and WASDE report.
Mackenzie, if they do shut down the government and there's no USDA reports, it makes our job a little bit harder because we have to come up with stuff to talk about every day. And a lot of that stuff revolves around USDA. Jim Wiesmeyer from Pro Farmer wrote this. USDA's NASS told us that phone surveys for the October 12th crop production report are scheduled to run September 29th to October 4th. Unless a deal is reached by then, NASS will ask enumerators to make as many contacts as possible on September 29th and 30th. If a shutdown occurs, all data collection will halt at midnight on September 30th. So we don't know if there's a shutdown. We don't know if we'll see an October report or not. So I don't think this will be a market moving event by any means, but it kind of leaves us in the dark as it relates to USDA. What are their new thoughts on yields, supply and demand situations, all of that stuff. So I'd rather see the reports. I know there are a lot of differing opinions when it to put it lightly regarding USDA and their data, but I would rather have them than not have them, I guess.
As of last Thursday, Brazil's soybean planting reached 1.9% complete, the fastest pace in 5 years. Farmers were able to take advantage of the rain earlier this month to get a head start on planting. Brazilian soybean production is expected to reach a record 164 million tons this season, according to Ag Rural. Also, as of last Thursday, Brazilian farmers had planted 25% of this season's corn crop, which is down from 28% during the same time last year.
And that's the first corn crop we're talking
Yes.
about. The second corn crop, of course, comes after soybeans. So very shortly here on this program, we'll be talking a lot more about South American weather. It'll be a market mover. I mean, it's become, especially as it relates to soybeans, become such a global market, given that Brazil has expanded at such a breakneck pace. It really makes a big difference. And if you guys are looking for grain marketing opportunities, maybe you'll see some sort of marketing opportunity that coincides with maybe a crop scare event in Brazil. It's very possible that happens this year or any year moving forward.
U.S. soybean shipments improved last week. USDA reported that 481,638 metric tons of soybeans were inspected for export during the week ending September 21st. The print was up 12% on the week and up a whopping 65% compared to the same week last year. Corn shipments were down slightly versus the prior week at 660,811 metric tons. Wheat shipments were reported at 451,004 metric tons, an increase of 6.7% compared to the previous week, but down 23% versus the same week last year.
Soybean shipping season, as it relates to the United States, is starting right now, and starting a little bit earlier than maybe what would be normal. That's why we were up so much versus the same week last year, up 65% versus the same week last year. The river is going to be an issue here. And you can see, like, if you're looking at this chart, you're watching on YouTube, beginning of the fourth quarter is typically when you see like this big spike in soybean shipments. And I just wonder if we'll be able to get close even to what we've seen the last few years, given these river issues We need to see the shipments because our window is really not that big, and it's not as big as it used to be because of these huge Brazilian crops that have been coming online. We had a cattle on feed report yesterday and then a reaction yesterday, I guess.
Cattle futures just basically treaded water on Monday, which was somewhat expected since that report was neutral. Feeders were down 25 cents to up 35 cents. Live cattle were down 82 cents to up 25 cents. Choice box beef ended the day at 301.48, which was down $1.85. Select ended the day at 280.45. That was up 2 cents.
Outside markets this morning, U.S. dollars about flat. Stocks are off, kind of in correction territory. The S&P is down 20. The Dow's down 140. Bonds are up a little bit. Crude oil is down 59 cents in the November WTI at 89.09. Have a great day, guys. We'll talk to you Wednesday morning.